Hey guys, this is Side Hustle. I'm Corey. Welcome to the new channel. We're going to be covering a range of issues from politics and history to entertainment and sports. We also have a podcast of the same name over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts where we've gotten a chance to interview some very interesting people that hopefully provide some very real value to you guys. But before we jump in, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. Help us grow this channel. We really appreciate it. All right, so let's just get into it. We're going to talk about the interview that everybody's been talking about. Tucker Carlson, Vladimir Putin. It's been on everybody's lips, especially the mainstream. So you guys already know what's been going on. You've seen the articles. Before Tucker Carlson even sat down with Putin, he was already being accused of being a traitor, right? You had people in the UK calling for sanctions against him. He was already the bad guy. Okay, so now he's a traitor for doing the exact same thing that, I don't know, countless other journalists have done. I mean, actual journalists, not mainstream media, journalists. They've interviewed Vladimir Putin. They've interviewed dictators. They've interviewed other presidents. They've interviewed prime ministers. But for some reason, talking to Vladimir Putin right now is treason? Okay. So they've been attacking Tucker from Jump Street. Before he even actually sat down with Putin, to the day he did sit down with Putin, right? They called him a traitor, sanctions, this, that, and the other. Well, all of a sudden, now in the last 24 hours, they've changed the tactics. Take a look at this shit. Let's see. Putin humiliates Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, duped by Putin to bid to weaken support for Ukraine. Putin trolls soft Tucker Carlson interview. This is just in the last 24 hours. This is great. So now they've changed up the entire tactic. They've changed up the game, right? Their tactics are different. Traitor first. Now they're saying he was being too soft. You can never keep up with these people. It's always some bullshit. And isn't it interesting how they have the exact same articles? That was 3 different newspapers I just showed you. 3 different newspapers. All saying the exact same thing. Do you see how they have this shit locked and loaded, ready to go? Okay. It seems like they're missing the point, right? Let's assume that Putin did say Tucker was soft. Who gives a fuck? None of us were there to watch Tucker Carlson talk. Tucker Carlson understands that. Tucker Carlson wanted to give us a view into Vladimir Putin. Nonstop, all we've ever heard is Putin is the enemy. Russia's the enemy. How many decades has this bullshit been going on for? Okay, fine. Now you have a new generation of people that you're trying to fearmonger, or as Putin said it, threatmonger, right? And we don't see what the big deal is with Russia. You keep telling us that we need to be scared of these people, of this country, of this president. But Vladimir Putin's never done a fucking thing to any of us. And listen, I'm not team Russia. Never even been to Russia. I don't give a fuck. But you keep telling me to be afraid of this guy. What's he done? What's he done to me? Because I can list off the things that Barack Obama has done, that George W. Bush before him did, that Joe Biden is currently doing. I can list off shit that they've done to ruin American lives. I can't tell you one thing Vladimir Putin has done. Okay, so now Tucker's going to go and interview him, and he's going to give us an insight into this person who we're apparently supposed to fear. And like a lot of you, I just saw a guy who was wildly, even frighteningly intelligent, level-headed, and leaps and bounds above our current president, which honestly, it isn't saying much. I mean, we have a fucking corpse for a president whose administration is run by committee, but, okay, fine. So let's just take a look. Let's see here. We're going to take a look at this first clip. Now, this clip is probably the one that is, I think, garnered the most online attention. And it's Putin basically recounting 1,000 years of Russian history from the top of his head like it was nothing. Now, some of the criticism that I've heard about this is that, well, he's rehearsed this. He's rehearsed this. Okay, so he still got up there without a teleprompter, without a script in front of him, and recited the fucking thing from memory. Okay, so let's just take a look. Here we go.
On February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
It's not that America, the United States, was going to launch a surprise strike on Russia. I didn't say that. Are we having a talk show or a serious conversation?
Here's the quote. Thank you. It's a formidable.
I just have to say, I appreciate the dude being able to talk shit. Because, in all honesty, he does poke a little fun at Tucker, but it's funny. Okay, I'm not even gonna compare and contrast yet. Let's just finish this. Let's carry on here.
Because your basic education is in history, as far as I understand.
Yes.
So if you don't mind, I will take.
Is it just me, or does Tucker look a little freaked the fuck out that Putin wouldn't know anything about him? Because I'd be scared shitless. Like, if he told me, no, you went to college here. Yeah. Even though that's kind of common knowledge, I'd still be a little scared. All right, carry on.
Only 30 seconds or 1 minute to give you a short reference to history for giving you a little historical background.
Please.
Let's look where our relationship with Ukraine started. Where did Ukraine come from? The Russian state started gathering itself as a centralized statehood, and it is considered to be the year of the establishment of the Russian state in 862, when the townspeople of Novgorod invited a Varangian prince, Rurik, from Scandinavia to reign. In 1862, Russia celebrated the 1000th anniversary of its statehood.
So, the point of looking at this is, we have what? Hundreds of members of Congress, right? 100 in the Senate, 435 in the House of Representatives. Of that number of people, who among them do you believe could recount American history? Now, we know, we stopped this early. He goes on for another 29 minutes describing the history of his country and that region of the world. Who the fuck in Congress do you think could talk about U.S. history the same way? I guarantee you, there isn't a single one of these fucking morons that knows even a fraction as much about U.S. history as this man knows about his own history. And these are our representatives. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, and, you know, thinking about our current president, let's take a look at how he holds up, at how he compares to the guy that's supposed to be our arch enemy.
There is some movement, and I don't want to, well, maybe choose my words. There's some movement. There's been a response from.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Joe fucking Biden. Okay. And this is the guy that's supposed to be better than our enemy, supposed enemy, alleged enemy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Great. Yeah, I feel great about this. Okay, let's continue. Let's take another look at a different piece of the interview with Putin. Let's take a look here.
That was 8 years before the current conflict started. So what was the trigger for you? What was the moment where you decided you had to do this?
Now, real quick, I just want to stop because this is a massively important part of the interview. Because this is the part of the interview that basically takes a whole shit on the mainstream media's narrative of what caused this war, right? Because we all know that none of this makes sense. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, none of us, most Americans, couldn't find fucking Ukraine on a map. Nobody was talking about Ukraine. Now we're all supposed to be sobbing our fucking eyes out with bleeding hearts for this country we couldn't have given 2 fucks about 5 minutes ago. Why are we supposed to care? Let's find out what this is actually about. Because that's been the question. We've all been trying to figure out, why the fuck are we supposed to care about Ukraine? I don't care. I don't care. Sorry. Let's take a look.
It was 8 years before the current conflict started. So what was the trigger for you? What was the moment where you decided you had to do this?
Спровоцировал конфликт изначально.
Initially, it was the coup in Ukraine that provoked the conflict. By the way, back then the representatives of 3 European countries, Germany, Poland, and France, arrived. They were the guarantors of the signed agreement between the government of Yanukovych and the opposition. They signed it as guarantors. Despite that, the opposition committed a coup, and all these countries pretended that they didn't remember that they were guarantors of the peaceful settlement. They just threw it in the stove right away, and nobody recalls that. I don't know if the US know anything about the agreement between the opposition and the authorities, and its 3 guarantors who, instead of bringing this whole situation back in the political field, supported the coup. Although it was meaningless, believe me, because President Yanukovych agreed to all conditions. He was ready to hold an early election, which he had no chance of winning, frankly speaking. Everyone knew that. Then why the coup? Why the victims? Why threatening Crimea? Why launching an operation in Donbass? This I do not understand. That is exactly what the miscalculation is. CIA did its job to complete the coup. I think one of the deputy secretaries of state said that it cost a large sum of money, almost 5 billion. But the political mistake was colossal. Why would they have to do that? All this could have been done legally, without victims, without military action, without losing Crimea. We would have never considered to even lift a finger if it hadn't been for the bloody developments on Maidan. Because we agreed with the fact that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, our borders should be along the borders of former Union's republics. We agreed to that. But we never agreed to NATO's expansion, and moreover, we never agreed that Ukraine would be in NATO.
Did you guys hear that? CIA did its job to complete the coup. Wow. I mean, this doesn't come as a surprise to anybody, right? We know that our government overthrows legitimate governments all around the world, causing untold chaos for us and spending billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars. For what? To sow chaos? Even if you didn't know 100% of what's going on, and who can know 100% of what's going on. But the fact of the matter is, we all kind of suspected that everything that's happening in Ukraine was orchestrated by our own government, right? And in this next clip, Putin's going to talk about how he tried to come to the table. Now, listen, you can believe him, you cannot believe him. I have no doubt that Putin has done untold amounts of dirty shit all over the planet. I have no doubt about that. What I have an issue with is trying to make him out to be somehow worse than the people currently running our country. Because from everything that I can tell, Russian citizens are doing okay. It seems, I could be wrong about this, but that their money is typically funded back or funneled back into their nation. We can't say the same. Let's take a look here.
And I thought, okay, the Yugoslav issue is over, but we should try to restore relations. Let's reopen the door that Russia had tried to go through. And moreover, I said it publicly, I can reiterate. At a meeting here in the Kremlin with the outgoing President Bill Clinton, right here in the next room, I said to him, I asked him, Bill, do you think if Russia asked to join NATO, do you think it would happen? Suddenly he said, you know, it's interesting. I think so. But in the evening, when we met for dinner, he said, you know, I've talked to my team. No, it's not possible now. You can ask him. I think he will watch our interview. He'll confirm it. I wouldn't have said anything like that if it hadn't happened. Okay.
Judge for yourselves. But does this seem like a guy who gives a fuck enough to lie to Tucker Carlson? Does this seem like a guy who is frightened by Joe Biden or his security state handlers? This does not look like a guy that is bothered. Actually, he looks like someone who is very unbothered. I'm just asking you to consider these things and decide for yourself if he's lying. Because if I'm sure about anything, there's only one group of people that I am positive are lying. It's the mainstream and our government. So, judge for yourselves. Thanks a lot, guys. This is Side Hustle. I'm Corey. Please hit that like button, subscribe. We'll be back in a couple days with a new video. Thanks a lot.